Welcome back to another episode of Streetpreneur Podcast, the podcast for innovative entrepreneurs. And today we're going to talk about hosting, event hosting. I have a very special guest with me today. She's an expert in the business. She's been doing it for years. She's also a professional host that does corporate events, conferences, expos, seminars, and much, much more. She's also a middle school language arts teacher in her past. She's also a published author of 2 books. She's also a wife and devoted mother. She's also has her own show in the past, which was The Wife Coach. Okay. And we want to welcome you to Streetpreneur Podcast.
Thank you for being here. I'm like, okay, you done did your homework there, Mel. What's up? Thank you so much for having me. Excited to be here.
Always to be my pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Just tell us a little bit about your background and where you're from for those that don't know and those who need to know.
Hey, those who don't know. Well, I'm originally from Hyattsville, Maryland. DMV is in the building.
Okay.
But I've been in Atlanta for over 20 years. I've earned my peach. Okay. I do have a background in education, and I taught middle school language arts for about 5 years right here in DeKalb County. Okay. And from there, wrote my first book. And that sort of like was the catapulted me forward from being able to start my own publishing company to then using the contents of my book to start my very first brand, which was The Wife Coach. Okay. Yes, The Wife Coach. That's with a W, not an L. And the whole premise behind the business was to teach married women how to be happy, fun, and irresistible wives.
Okay.
Yeah, I was helping in that relationship area. Yeah. And that relationship area has now pivoted me into hosting. You know, part of being the wife coach was speaking, part of being a classroom teacher was speaking. And so I basically have merged my love for all of that in helping to elevate events into fun experiences.
Okay. And what inspired you to start hosting events?
It's crazy.
When did you make that determination? It's time to pivot. It's time for me to do something different with my life.
Well, you know, when you are an entrepreneur, there are seasons.
Yes, it is.
Ebbs and flows. And I became an entrepreneur as the wife coach, from really understanding the business of coaching, understanding the business of branding, messaging, all of that. And I feel that was my training ground, and the work that I did and the offers that I created and the women that I helped, the marriages that I saved. You welcome, husband. But now it came to a point where it was that moment where you have that fork in the road and you have to make a decision on where am I going. And for me, I was ready to do something new. I was ready for something fresh. And with me hosting, that pretty much allows me to take all of my expertise from what I've been doing to now use that in a different lane. Even as a classroom teacher, I was being prepared for this, which I didn't realize. As a classroom teacher, I always said the classroom was my stage. Okay. The students were my audience. So I have been preparing for this for years. And in 2023, I decided to go full time as a premier event host.
Okay. And you use the term edutainment a lot.
Yeah, so, I'm an edutainer. So I am marrying, because this is what pretty much sets me apart.
So that's kind of where the concept came from your past, as, you know, like
Absolutely.
I said, being an educator.
Well, listen, as an educator, you got to entertain the students, right?
Yes,
and so
true.
What I've done was marry the two, as an educator, as an entertainer, because how many times have you been to an event, Mel, and you were bored? How many times have you been to an event where you like, you know, I really want to get a lot out of this, but it's not sticking? It's the same concept. So I've just taken my love for really helping you to learn and have fun doing it. I've married that together to create my style as a host.
And tell us about your very first event. And how did that turn out?
Wow. So my very first event.
Think back.
Oh, I do. Back in 2015 was my very, very first hosting event.
And what was that?
Oh, my goodness. This was here in Atlanta, and I was a part of a team. And we were actually hosting our 3rd annual event. Okay. We needed a host. Because the first year we didn't have a host or an MC.
Right. And what was that event?
The event was the Single Wives Club weekend. So it was the Single Wives Club weekend, I believe. Okay. That was the name of our very first event. Yes. Yeah. And with that team, what I did was I kind of put myself out there because they said we need a host and LB can do it. So my team was like, you know what, LB can do it. I said, okay. I put myself out there. And from that moment on, I became the host every year for the next 2 years. I believe we were hosting the event. And then from there, I started getting on different types of stages and kind of honing my craft as a host. So it was really an accident, as I say, that I got involved in it. But it really took that moment for me to say, okay, there's something there. And my team believed in me enough to put me on stage in front of our audience, which we had been building and curating for years. So it was an opportunity that I took advantage of, and here we are today.
Okay. I want to touch on audience engagement.
Okay.
You know, you have big energy.
Yeah.
And big stage presence too. How important is energy in just getting the crowd motivated and inspired? What's your strategy for doing that? Nobody can do that like you. You have your own special sauce for that.
I do.
Tell us what does it take for anybody that's aspiring, want to be a host? You need to definitely hear this information.
Energy is everything.
Yes.
First of all, energy is contagious. So there's energy in this room right now between you and I.
Yes, it is.
We can feel if things are going left, we're going to feel that energy. If the vibe isn't right, we're going to feel it. And so my job and what I've done as an intentional host is to make sure that you all can feel the energy rising. Like, I want you to come in, maybe you're feeling at a 1. And by the time you leave, you're at a 5 or 6. I want to make sure that you understand energy helps you to take action. Energy helps you to feel good about yourself. Energy makes you want to do something. So if I'm hosting events and my client has an obligation to teach their audience or to teach their attendees, whether it's building a business or how to make more money or whatever the case may be, personal branding, my job now is to help you to see yourself at that new elevated version of yourself. That's going to require energy. Energy is not just yelling and speaking loudly, because in the classroom, I had to have energy. Yeah. I had to make sure my students stayed awake and stayed alert and they were excited about learning. So it's making the whole experience unforgettable. Energy is infectious. It's contagious. I think we have to understand that. So I'm very, very careful and mindful of the energy I carry, because if I'm going to be commanding the room of hundreds of people, thousands of people, then I got to make sure that energy is taking them to the level that they need to be on.
Okay. I want to talk about client preparation. If I contact you about an event that I want you to host, what are some of the things that you're discussing in a meeting that are important?
The first is the value that I bring to your event, because a lot of times, even if you're hosting an event, or you, for example, decide, I want to put on this annual event or this quarterly event, I have to show you the value that having an MC will bring to this event. The first thing I want to know is your vision. Tell me why you're hosting this event. Is this your first year, your third year? What type of audience do you have? What type of followers or following do you attract? What's the purpose of this event? What's the takeaway? So there has to be a purpose in everything you do. You must have a purpose. I would say that to my kids in the classroom. And so even in this meeting, I want to understand, at the end of the day, what is your goal? Is this an enrollment event where you have an opportunity to invite your attendees to continue to work with you after the event ends? Are you just inspiring or empowering? Like, what is the goal? Because now what I do is I go in my office, I go in my creativity and figure out how to match that. I figure out how to create the storyline, so to speak, for your run of show. You're creating the run of show, but I'm going to run the show. And it's not about LB. It's about making you look good. It's about people understanding this experience, having a good time, so that they'll be looking forward to the next experience that you bring.
Okay, good answer.
Thank you.
We want to talk about, I want to touch on challenges of an event.
Yeah.
I'm sure you deal with a lot of last minute changes.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure you have to deal with the DJ, making sure the music is on point, on cue when it comes.
Yeah.
People changing the agenda backstage. People want to switch things up. How do you handle those last minute challenges?
I feel like that's what makes the difference between a skilled MC.
Yes.
And an amateur, because a lot of times we put MCs out there on the forefront. Like, okay, if you're an extrovert, you have a good personality, you can be an MC. You might be a good speaker.
Right.
But being an MC takes a totally different skill set. You have to know how to think on your feet.
Okay.
You have to know how to come up with and buy time, because a lot of things, listen, we plan months in advance. And ish always happens, okay? I think it's important to understand that I expect fire. I expect fire, but my audience will never see the smoke nor smell it. That's my job. I need to keep the room calm. If something, for example, if there's a speaker who's running late, or if there's somebody who needs to be on stage and they need to, I see my AV like, hey, we need about 5 more minutes. That's when I come in and engage with the audience. That's when I look for an opportunity to say, okay, well, let's talk about what you just heard off the stage. What was your biggest takeaway from this morning's session? That's the teacher coming in me. Now I want to make sure you're actually grasping and understanding the concepts that are coming from the stage. Are you learning? Then this may be an opportunity to bring in a game. And see, this relationship that I have with the audience is also established with the DJ.
Okay.
Because if there's going to be a DJ, I have to meet with the DJ before the event. If at all possible, I have to. Yeah. Because the style of hosting that I do requires us to be in sync. Yeah. From cues to understanding the words I'm going to say to even just following me, reading the room. Okay. DJs know how to do that very well. So now you're learning to work with the host, because sometimes DJs they be both the host and the DJ, right? But when you're working with the host, it's being able to trust me with that power and things like that. So it's really learning how to think on your feet. Every situation is different. Yes. There have been times where I've been like, oh, they ain't ready. I know I was ready to introduce a speaker. They told me they were ready. My people said they were ready. I do everything to get the crowd ready. All right, y'all ready for this speaker? She's coming to the stage. And guess what? The videographer looked at me like that. She ain't ready. She ain't ready. We went right on into, okay, well, how many of you all know this speaker? What was it about something she's done that has spoken to your life or has helped you thinking on my feet? Because I can't just say, okay, wait a minute, y'all, we got 5 more minutes. Y'all talk to your neighbor. And I may do that depending on what the audience and the situation calls.
Okay. And what do you do personally to prepare for an event, before an event? Is that, do you meditate? Yeah. Do you pray? Do you... And
leading up to it, I'm praying, Chad. Listen, no, so, when I get the day of an event... Yeah, that's important. I'm prayed up already. Okay. I'm prepared because I've been spending the last however many months, weeks, hours preparing for that moment. Okay. Sometimes I don't have a lot of time to prepare for the event. So what I do is just say, you've done this before. And one of the best advice my sister gave me is go have fun. This is light work. So it's that constant reminder that this is what I do. I am here to impact the audience. I'm here to help them have a good time, to walk away feeling enthusiastic, feeling energized, feeling like I can take on the world. So that's what prepares me, just basically seeing the event successful before it even happens. Mm-hmm. So whether that's praying, me being on stage, I'm back with the audience, just engaging, ready to go. As soon as I hear my name or if I introduce myself, it's showtime.
Okay. And you do a lot of dancing and motivating the crowd. Just what are some of those tricks and techniques that a host would need to know?
Yeah, you gotta develop. It works for me. It works for me, Mel. Listen, because everybody has their own style of how they relate. At the end of the day, every MC, every host has to relate and connect with their audience. They do. So how do I do it? I love music and dancing. I'm born in 79, but listen, I love the 90s. So come on now, Kid and Play, MC Hammer. I love, that takes me to an element of when we used to have house parties, we used to have a good time. And I feel that people, especially in our age range, I don't know how old you are, Mel, but I'm just saying, they can relate to having those memorable moments from that era. So I like to bring in the RoboCop, the butterfly, I'll do the Running Man, and I'll do these things because it takes you back. It's like nostalgia.
Yes, it is.
So now I'm already like, I remember that. And I'm already loosening up, letting my guard down because people don't know what they're getting themselves into if it's their first experience at your event. Yeah. So now I have to create the experience from the moment the DJ drops the music or I say something on the mic. From that moment, it's time to lock them in. Because I only have that, that whole idea small of window. That very small window to have that likability factor. And it's not just about getting them to like you, it's getting them to listen to you. Because you're going to be hearing their voice for the next however many hours or days. And I have to make sure that you and I are on the same team and I'm here to see you win. Okay.
We want to touch on skills. Yeah. Just having the public speaking skills and the presentation skills. Yeah. Is that a must for a host?
Absolutely. And personality.
There's some skill set and personality and confidence.
You need confidence. You need charisma. Right. And energy. We talked about energy. So let's talk about confidence. Yeah. Confidence is like, I don't know if you wear any cologne, but it's very attractive. Okay? Your confidence speaks for you as soon as you walk through the door. There's something about your energy, your aura, something that gives off like, ooh, I want to pay attention to that. Who's that? That magical thing walking right there. You need that in order to be able to command a room. Charisma, that's the it girl factor. You got to be an it boy or the it girl, right? And that's that simply irresistible energy that makes people want to know, what is it about you that makes you you? Or, I want to have a conversation with you. I'm drawn into you. And so those are some of the skills that you need as far as how you carry yourself as far as personality. When it comes to speaking, of course, you want to have an opportunity to use your voice to command in different ways. You have to understand the power of the pause.
Yeah.
Being able to avoid the ums and the ahs, which is part of speaking, right? Part of that public speaking. Right. And knowing how to transition, even introducing people to where the audience is interested. Like, who's about to come to the stage? You had that speaker, you're like, I don't know if I want to hear from them. But making it so interesting that you're like, well, let me find out what they got to say. Yeah. That's part of the skill. Yeah. We don't just read bios. We don't just highlight your career, but we tie it into, when you are a professional host and you understand what you're doing, you tie it into the overall message. If your theme for this year is let's create magic in your business, then every speaker you've hired or booked should be talking about some way to make that happen. And so when I introduce you, I have to highlight that so that folks will know, okay, they're going to teach me how to make magic in my business by doing this. And I need to hear from this person because LB said I need to hear from this person.
Okay. Let's touch on pricing your services.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm sure it varies from a one-day event to a multiple-day event.
Absolutely.
Or a conference versus a 20-person event.
Absolutely.
Just tell us, how do you decide on your pricing?
Yeah, I've gotten better over the years.
It's a pricing strategy
Let's
that
just
you've
say
had
that.
to learn.
Listen.
I spent 8 hours here and still I need to be paid what I'm worth.
Listen, that's what I'm saying. Listen, cheap MCs aren't good and good MCs aren't cheap. Okay?
Say that again.
I'll say that again. Cheap MCs aren't good and good MCs aren't cheap. And so for your pricing, this is my thing. We can't come out, you won't be able to come out the door charging premium prices until you've proven the value that you bring to that event.
Okay.
I did not start off charging 5 figures, you know what I mean, or 4 figures, or any. Right. I was making $125. Okay. That wasn't for every event, but that would be what I asked for because I didn't understand the value
of it. Yeah.
I just looked at it as, okay, I'm just gonna get on the mic. Even I saw it as, let me just get on the mic. But then when I started taking time to really plan these events and I see the impact. Now I'm looking at, okay, a one-day event, how many hours is it taking me to not just host, but it's the preparation you didn't see behind the scenes that was happening months in advance. That's my time. Okay. That's money.
Right.
So I'm going to factor that into my fee. Yeah. Not just my fee, but now if there's travel involved, if there's a per diem involved, all of that is going to be asked in the proposal. So it's very difficult. And I had somebody that would ask me, people always slide in my DMs, ask me, how do I price my services? And I say, what's your happy number? What number would you be happy exchanging your energy for this event? Because what I charge may be mind-boggling for you. And you say, I don't think I can ask for that. See, I can ask for it with confidence because I've proven and I'm getting asked back time and time again from the same clients who are comfortable with paying and they're like, oh yeah, she worth it. She up there, but she's worth it. And I've gotten to that point. Didn't happen overnight. So I think it's important to know you can go from 125. That may seem very low. You ain't got to tell people what you charged. Get the experience, get the footage, get the testimonials, and now you're building from that. So you have to know that don't charge no $500 for no 3-day event.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Your energy is expensive. I charge the energy you say I have, it costs.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. And I mean, I put time and energy I go to the gym when I'm at my events. I run before my events. And people want to know why I'm doing that because, baby, I got to give this off to you all day. I'm working. Yes, I'm doing this to stay in shape and to look good for myself. But I also know that this comes with the territory. Yeah. So I invest in myself. I'm going to invest in my business and make sure I'm not undercharging. So there is a process, but at the end of the day, whatever you're happy exchanging your energy for, whatever that number is, start there.
Okay. You touched on testimonials.
Yes.
You have a lot of testimonials.
I do.
From people who really, who you inspired and they enjoyed you hosting the event.
Yes.
How do they make you feel when you read those testimonies?
It feels really good. It feels really good because, once again, it's that boost of confidence. Like, what you're doing really does matter.
Yeah.
And for somebody to say, oh, you better get you an LB. That's like my tagline now. Big shout out to Aisha Watkins, one of my clients with the Women of Project Management. Okay. She said that in her testimonial. The very first time I heard it, I said, oh my God, that's it. You better get you an LB. So to hear people say the impact I've had, how much fun they had, how personable I was, how much they learned, because I'm not just up there making sure you have a good time. I'm teaching. It's the teacher in me. I'm using the opportunities from the speakers who have just left the stage to say, okay, so let's talk about what they just said. Did you understand that you need to take these steps in order to get here? If you understand, raise your hand, or whatever it may be, to engage with them, right? So it feels good to know that I am having an impact, that the value is there and is speaking for me. I don't have to keep telling you I'm good. Yeah. They telling you I'm good. And because they're telling you I'm good, other people see it and they're booking me as well. So it makes me feel really good. And I want to get some more testimonials this year.
So what's next for your career? For 2025, I know you have a lot of goals.
Yeah, we all do.
That you want to accomplish.
Listen.
Just what's some of your future plans for 2025 as far as hosting is concerned?
The stage is my happy place.
Yeah.
And so being on stage as much as possible this year is my number one goal. So right now we're just coming off of the holidays. Yeah. The holidays are sort of like a slower season, but hey, again, we're building. So there's a time to sow, there's a time to reap, right? So in this sowing season, we're pitching, prospecting. Yeah, right? Before I even came here, I did an interview with someone who narrowed it down to 2 hosts. They wanted to meet me, and they're meeting with the other host to see, like, you know what? We have this annual event. We need a host, and we've narrowed it down to you 2. So I'm constantly putting myself out there to say, okay, this is why you need to get you an LB. So regardless if I'm on stage or not, I'm pitching my services or showing folks, promoting why it's important to hire an MC and not just have an event, but to create an experience for your audience.
Okay. And how do you balance, we're going to wrap it up here. So how do you handle your personal life and family and dealing with the business?
Balance is bull.
How do you find that balance?
Balance is bull.
Yeah.
Okay. Balance is bull. Absolutely it is. And so what I've done over the years, and part of this was being the wife coach, I've learned how to create harmony in all areas of my life. Doesn't mean that it's equal. So my family understands the season that I'm in. Thankful that I have their support, their love. They love what I do. They love this new season of hosting. And so I am very intentional about making sure I work and play. Okay. One of the things I say is all work and no play is no fun. So I'm not a quote unquote workaholic at this point in my life. I work, I play, I rest. Okay. And so I feel that I have a really good grasp on balancing life because I found that harmony. I make sure everybody gets their time, including LB. Yeah. LB gets her time first. Because I have to make sure that my cup is full and overflowing, and I serve everybody else from that overflow.
Okay. Just give the few pros and cons of becoming a host. In case anyone is listening right now who's aspiring to be a host. Yeah. Any tips or advice you can give them?
I think that would fall in line with just being an entrepreneur. You know, would it take taking the risk? The pros is that, of course, you're your own boss. And I get to set my own schedule. I love getting emails and texts, LB, I have this event on this date. Are you available? Here's the rate, whatever. I love that because there's the flexibility that's there. So I get to plan my schedule around that. The cons is just like I said, with any business, there's the ups and downs. You talked about the journey before we went live, right? Just understanding the journey and learning to trust the process. So I think without the pros, you have to have the cons. Like you can't have one without the other. They work both. Yes, they work in tandem. And so learning to see cons as opportunities for growth or opportunity, like this is what comes with the territory. That's how I look at it. There's slow seasons. There's fast seasons. There's seasons where things are like, okay. And then other seasons where you like, let me go on LinkedIn. So just keeping it real, keeping it honest with it. But it's all about building the business that you want and having that flexibility. And I wouldn't trade it. I'm loving the season that I'm in.
Last question. What event that you really want to host all of your life, you wanted to host this event, which one would it be? I'm
only going to say this because when I walked in, I was at the Women of Project Management Conference year number 3.
Okay.
I walked into the ballroom and they said, LB, I see you hosting the Oscars or the BET Awards.
Yeah. That's what I had in mind too.
She just kept saying it. And it wasn't one person. Okay. It was several people. I said, okay, well, let's go ahead and find out how LB can get on them stages because after, it was just a confirmation to walk into a room and somebody say, girl, you look like you about to host the BET Awards or you about to host the Oscars. I'll take that. They better get them an LB.
Yeah. All right. We're going to speak it into existence.
Come on now, Mel.
And I'm sure it's going to happen.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
And I want to thank you for coming out.
Of course.
Being my special guest. You're my first guest to speak on hosting.
Yes.
And that's another reason why I contacted you.
Did you learn a lot?
Yes, I did.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I do my research.
Good.
So I already know.
Nice.
But I'm sure a lot of entrepreneurs are going to reach out and contact you.
Please do.
From this interview. And give them your contact information. How can they reach out to you?
Absolutely. Well, Instagram is my playground. LinkedIn as well. On Instagram, I am at Lakia Brandenburg, and I'm sure you'll have the spelling and everything for everybody. Right. I am also on LinkedIn, Lakia Brandenburg, and my website is lakiabrandenburg.com. If you have any questions, feel free to slide into the DMs or shoot me an email, and I'll be happy to answer.
Again, we want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come to the podcast, and we look forward to hearing more about you.
Thank
I'm
you,
sure
Mel.
I'll be attending some of your events as well.
You have to.
And we'll connect. One more thing. Do you offer mentorship or coaching?
Great
anyone that's aspiring to be?
Great question.
So my brain's still working.
Because of course it is. Look, Mel, working. You're always working. I do, actually. I am in the process. I have it all laid out. As the wife coach, I just learned how to do stuff. As a teacher, I learned how to do stuff. The program is laid out. Right. The training is already laid out.
So
I just haven't started.
Event?
Yeah. Hold me to it. It's called accountability. Right now, I'm just, getting on stages, but I do have the program. A lot of folks have been reaching out to me for mentorship, but I want to help train you to own the stage. Okay. And whether that's the stage in real life or stage being an MC. So either way, I want to teach you how to own the stage because it's amazing how life can be very magical when you do.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thanks, Mel.
And please hit that like, share, and subscribe button and continue to watch our episodes. And I hope you learn. Please leave a comment in the comment section about this particular episode and tell us what you liked about it. And we want to thank you for coming out. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button and stay tuned for our next episode. Thank you.